Welcome to Tube Talk, the show dedicated to helping you become a better video creator so you can get more views, subscribers, and build your audience. Brought to you by vidIQ. Download for free at vidIQ.com.
Hey now, welcome back everyone to Tube Talk. It's Travis here with Jen.
Hey, hey, hey.
We are back here to give you more of that good Tube Talk goodness. I love it. This week has been exciting and it's been great. It really has, Jen.
Actually, it really has. It really has.
And it's great and exciting because we've been able to engage with more of you this week. And what do I mean by that? So anyone who listened to the last episode, you got to find out how we are starting this YouTube channel called The Boost. Now, for those of you who missed the last episode, we are actually recording this in video as well. So if you're listening to the audio podcast, which most of you do, there's a video version of this on YouTube on our channel. There'll be a link in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube and you like to listen to podcasts and maybe while you're driving to work, there'll be a link to the audio podcast in the description below. So you can watch it either with video or audio, or you can use the YouTube option for podcasts, which we're on there, or you can listen to just on your phone while you're just walking around or whatever. We're everywhere.
I mean, the audio doesn't have our cute new mics though. So
yes.
That
Agreed.
Sucks.
So you must go to YouTube at the very least to see our little colorful wind things. Amazing. They look great. But yeah, so you guys and gals showed out. So last week we talked about the YouTube channel. We gave you a link and a lot of you showed up. And in the first real full week of us being on YouTube, thanks to the listeners here, we're over 100 subscribers. And
woo, 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 woo.
Where's my play button for that? I'd like my play button now. Thank you.
We should get little medals in the mail.
We should. We'll make our own. But the good news is, we got to see and hear from a lot of you that we've never seen and heard from before, either in the comment section on YouTube videos or emails that we're going to read that came in over the last week or so. So a couple of things. When asking questions on the YouTube channel, especially if there's something about growth or something, please actually email those into us because we want to be able to give the answer to everyone who listens to the podcast. If I answer a message in a YouTube video, only you get to see it, and other people who might be able to benefit from the answer don't get to check it out. So please email us. theboost@vidIQ.com is our email. Or if you're on the podcast app, there's a link that says text us. And we have a couple of text messages this week, so we'll go through those. We have lots of ways to get a hold of us. Now, of course, leave us comments. We love the comments. But if you have a question, please email those, theboost@vidIQ.com, or on the audio podcast in the show notes, there's a thing that you can text message us. So I will quickly go over two questions that came from the YouTube channel before I go to the emails. This will be the only time I do this, but because the questions
I was going to say Travis.
I know, look.
Travis.
Look, I'm sorry. But they called us out, so I had to say something. They brought up something, and I want to talk to you. They called us out. So you and I have had discussions about this for a long time. So let me go to the first one where they mentioned, well, hey, the YouTube channel is called The Boost, but the audio podcast is called Tube Talk. But now you're doing the video on the audio, and you're talking about Tube Talk. What is happening? And I just want to tell you, and this is the truth. You can see this on my face if you're watching the video. Jen and I went over this for weeks. We went back and forth for weeks. Do we rebrand the audio podcast? What do we do? Jen,
this has consumed our lives.
And I'm just going to say that what we ended on is what Jen came up with.
The podcast will remain as Tube Talk. And then the dilemma was, okay, well, do we make a podcast channel for Tube Talk? But Tube Talk is a long-running podcast. Also, the name is adorable. So we're like, we'll just leave the podcast as that name and we'll just upload on The Boost because we are The Boost. So it is just the name of the podcast. Let's not overthink it. Let's not make a big deal. It's the series name.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, the other way of thinking of it is the audio podcast is Tube Talk and everything video is the Boost. And with the exception of you get a video version of the audio podcast.
It took us so long to get to this point. That's why it's so funny because you would think this was like life or death decision making.
Yes.
The amount of times we have had this conversation and
Yes.
what to do.
Lots. Overly thought it. I mean, we were like, do we rebrand Tube Talk into the Boost? And to what Jen just said, it has a long running history well before Jen and I. And to be clear, you know, I've made a lot of changes on the podcast. Like now you can email us, the type of content we're doing. Like everything's different. Like there's two people instead of just one person. Like there's a lot of changes that came in hot and heavy on this podcast. So we want to continue, but we also want to, you know, give respect to something that existed before we got here. So that's why. And someone else asked in the YouTube comment, well, I hear that a lot of experts say don't have a long intro and stuff, but you guys have your intro. Well, you know, what's that all about? Now, an audio podcast is different than a YouTube video. And in saying that, I'm going to almost undermine what I'm about to say next.
Oh, this sounds exciting. Carry on.
It is. Okay, let's be clear. This is an audio podcast first, but we just happen to be videoing. Let's just start there. Can we just start there? Okay. With that, you know, audio podcasts always have like stingers and stuff in the beginning. And it's something that you get used to if you listen to audio podcasts. So again, secondarily, we're doing this as video. If this was just video, we would edit it differently and all that stuff, but it's not. We want you to see the unedited version of this. Literally, you should be able to listen to your audio podcast while you're maybe driving to work. You're like, I want to see what Travis just pointed out, or I want to see what Jen just laughed at. Let me go home and watch it on YouTube. And it should sound exactly. You shouldn't go, well, that section was edited out. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. So that's what it is. All right. Those were kind of questions, but not really. We got a lot of questions, Jen. I love it, by the way.
Lots of questions.
I love it. All right. Let's start with the email, theboost@vidIQ.com. Andrew's back at us again. Andrew from Super Fit Cosplay here again. Okay. So I heard about that responding to comments is good for numerous reasons. I always respond to every comment, and I will continue to do so for as long as I can. Sometimes I get hundreds of comments, so it does get hard. But I like to make the people who have taken the time to comment on my video feel engaged and welcome. I agree with this. I agree with that. My question. I heard somewhere that when you do this, and it brings the person back to your video, it counts as another view. But if they're only there long enough to reply to the comment that I've replied to, does that bring down the average view time? I would imagine if they visit the video again within 24 hours, it wouldn't count as another view, but that's my concern. Thoughts. Thanks, dude and dudette. Love your work. Okay. So.
That is very interesting way to think about it.
It's a great question. Now, a couple of things. Believe it or not, people don't have to go back to your video to reply. This is something that a lot of people forget about. You can go to your notification bell on your homepage and reply right from there, which doesn't go to the video. So for people who do that, obviously it doesn't count as a view. I think there is a threshold by which something doesn't count as a view. So if someone goes right to the page, hit pause, and then starts typing, I don't think that counts as a view. Regardless, YouTube can see that the person came back. So that's a good engagement metric, so to speak. Does it bring the average view duration down? Listen, watching videos at 2 times speed brings down the average view duration. But that doesn't mean you're suddenly not going to get as many views. So
wait, is that
I would say
true?
It's very true. It was proved years ago. Daryl Lee's proved it. Yeah. If you watch a 2-minute video on 2 times speed, you get 1 minute of watch time. Unless they fixed it. But that's been the case for a good many years. It was proved years ago by Daryl Lee's. So yeah, I got all types of useless knowledge about YouTube in my head.
That is useless. I will confirm that is useless, but I am here for it. I'm using it.
You're gonna use? How are you gonna use it?
I'm using it in my brain. I'm storing that information because I watch on 2 times speed, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm screwing over all these creators.
You kind of are, because if it's like a 10-minute video you watch in 5 minutes, we're getting 5 minutes of watch time. Thanks, Jen,
That's
for ruining
terrible.
the economy.
I'm single-handedly destroying all of my creators.
Terrible. So I know that our answer was super simple, but I believe the answer for that is super simple. And Andrew says one last thing. Hot take. I think everyone needs to hear this. I keep seeing YouTube videos on how to monetize and how to make money and how to get subscribers. But for those of you who need to hear this, don't do YouTube because you want money or subscribers. YouTube because you have something that you're passionate about, that you just want to talk about. And if you do that, the rest may follow. Maybe it doesn't, but that's not the point. Express yourself because you're passionate about something, not because you want to see a $sign. I agree wholeheartedly with Andrew.
Mic
What a
drop,
great
Andrew.
message.
You're hired.
Absolutely. Great mic drop moment. from Andrew. All right. Next email is from Simon. Simon has a long email. Oh my gosh. Oh, here we go. The question is, the subject matter is a question for you both. How do we get more people to watch our live streams? Here we go.
Okay.
Hi, Jen and Travis. So we have a YouTube channel featuring our pet guinea pigs. That's amazing. I used to have a pet guinea pig. Do you know what a guinea pig is?
Name? I know what a guinea pig is. I'm not gonna say I'm not a huge fan of rodents.
I had hamsters too at the time. I was young.
I got a hamster. I begged my parents for a hamster when I was in elementary school, and then I was too afraid to touch it the entire time it existed.
Really? Oh my god. Oy vey. Okay, so let's find out more about it. Our channel, Buck's Guinea Pig Talks, is at almost 7,000 subscribers. Wow.
Woo.
Mainly built up over shorts. Okay, but now we've introduced longs and live streams to increase watch hours. Nearly 1,000 hours. One of our shorts has been viewed 232,000 times. That was Storm, and that video has gotten 1,700 subscribers alone. She absolutely loves a shout out from you guys. Storm, shout out.
Storm, shout out, Storm.
A question to you both. How do we get more people to watch our live streams? The live streams add a fair bit of the watch hours and are pretty easy for us to run so long as the weather here in England is dry and sunny. Additionally, what strategy do you think might encourage those subscribers who found us on Shorts to start watching longs and live streams? And we'll talk about the comments here a little bit. They have a couple more questions, but let's real quick talk about those. Live stream stuff. Tell me your thoughts on this. Like, how should they try to get people to watch their live streams?
First and foremost, we need to remember that live streams are community content. We're not looking for new people to join the live streams. That's an unrealistic expectation. Maybe you get a couple faces that happen to see you when you're live. Sure. But this is for your community, for your audience, to get them watching longer. I would say maybe have more of a set structure or a theme to the lives. Treat it like a video. There still has to be something going on, whether it's a challenge or a competition or whatever that looks like.
For guinea pigs
competition.
Which guinea pig will
Storm, you win the race. Like, so to me, I would just try more of a planned live. Make sure you're posting on your community tab. Make sure you put effort into that thumbnail so that people are seeing it. They're intrigued by it prior to. What do you think, Travis?
So there's a lot of options here. There are those channels, I think they're chicken channels, where they just have a live stream feed looking at chicken coops all day. That stuff kind of works.
You would know about that.
I know about this. Listen, I've been coaching YouTube channels for like however many years it's been. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of things. And that works. It works. There's people that watch chicken coops. There's also, it's a really popular one. It's airplane spotting, where it's just like a camera on an airport and you just watch planes take off and land. There's thousands of people to watch those live streams. Okay.
To be fair, that's awesome.
It is kind of neat.
Yeah.
But for a guinea pig. So I like the idea of like a little challenge, like put a little maze and see how many times you can give them little treats and just watch them go through and have people cheer for them and stuff. Here's a little hack, a little tricky thing I would say. If most of your creators or most of your followers came through Shorts, try doing one of those vertical live streams instead. Since that goes on like the short shelf thingy. So do those live streams. For longer form content, if you can do a 24-hour stream thing where you just have a camera just shooting all the time, that's probably the best bet. Live streams are interesting for, I don't know what a live stream for a guinea pig looks like. I gotta be honest. Again, I've seen a lot of things. It's not one of the things I've seen yet. So here we are. But I think because you said a lot of your subscribers came from Shorts, doing the elongate, the portrait mode live stream is probably the right move
vertical
for you.
lives.
Yeah. Last thing, I do respond to all comments to the channel, add links to my responses, blah, blah, blah. But of course, any thoughts from you would be awesome. Absolutely loving the podcast and now video podcast. So interested in seeing the journey to 100,000 subscribers, which we'll talk more about here in a minute.
Oh, yeah, that's a juicy one.
We need to talk more about
take.
what's happening. Yeah, exactly. Really very focused on our channel in February 2024, driving ourselves forward with gentle monthly targets. Love those. Aiming for 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year and to get near the 4,000 watch hours with all your tips. Originally started the channel in 2020, did nothing until 2022. And best wishes for you and excited to hear your thoughts on the podcast.
Aww.
That's from Simon. Appreciate you,
Love
Simon.
that,
And
Simon.
I think if you do this right, 10,000 subs is a low number. I think if you do like the little live streaming in vertical, because we were seeing that thing was overpowered when it first came out.
It was. I feel like I've seen very polarizing results where there's absolutely 0 people on it at all. Almost feels like an error, or it's like amazing.
Right. And I think just testing it out is probably the thing you want to do. I mean, live streams could be the same way.
Oh, yeah.
Live streams could be the same way. But I think because your viewership came primarily from shorts, that your best, if you want to like stack a hand in your favor, which is what I love to do when coaching, that's what I would do. Next question. We got another. Listen, this whole podcast is just gonna be question after question after question.
I like it because we can't even like make up these questions. Like these aren't things that come to my mind like when we talk about stuff to discuss.
Yeah, true. Like right before, it's like, what are we talking about this time? I'm like, I don't know.
Guinea pigs.
Guinea pigs.
Guinea
Thank
pigs.
goodness for guinea pigs.
Duh.
All right. This is Andy the World Channel sending an email to theboost@vidIQ.com. Travis and Jen, I'm in writing in hope of some advice.
Well, here we are.
Listen, I'm hoping we have advice. I don't know what's going to happen here next. Let's find out. My channel is all about a place, to be more specific, the peninsula in England by the Welsh border called the Wirral. I think that's how you pronounce it. Wirral. Wirral? Wirral. I believe this is the niche, but my content has all sorts of different niches and topics. For example, some of my last videos have been about local history, Armored Forces Day, and local political parties pitching for the recent general election. 3 very different niches in their own right, but common connection is they're all about the peninsula. Do you have any strategies for mixing multiple niches within a niche? Hope you understand what I mean. Regards, Andy. That's a great question. And there's not necessarily an easy answer to this, but what would you say?
I would say that you're doing it pretty well. You have that common thread. You don't necessarily have to think of it as a niche. Think about your audience. What is your audience going to be interested in? Why are they going to be interested in it? And if it is just this common location and they just have an interest of everything to do with this place, then I feel like you're setting yourself up in a pretty good place. And just generally speaking, even your audience is going to have less interest in some things. It doesn't mean that you have to eliminate it from your channel. You're always going to have one thing that's going to be your highly discoverable content, stuff that's just going to be, falls right in the middle, and then stuff that you'll put out where you're like, I know this isn't going to be like my 1 of 10 content compared to this. But if the audience is there and interested, I mean, go for it.
Yeah, and here's the thing. So this actually happens similarly with news channels. News channels being things like a newspaper might have a YouTube channel, or a television station in your local area might have a YouTube channel. And if you really go to their channel, you will notice that almost all of them universally have spiky views. Some things get incredible views. Others, you're like, did anyone even watch this? Like, it's crazy. You would think everything that was on TV got lots of views. It's not the case. I've seen television channels that have they'll put out 10 videos a day and most of them will get like 300 views, and that's it. So I think most of the time, thinking about when creating content on YouTube, having expectations that are in line with reality help you in the long term. That can mean a lot of things. I think the number one thing it means is don't think that every video is going to be a 1 of 10. We talked about the 10 of 10 thing a couple episodes ago, but be okay with that. That's okay. It's fine. What you'll find is sometimes a low performing video will have a deeper connection with a subset of people that you're not even aware of. What I really have enjoyed about this past week, being in the podcast and everything, is the stories I've heard through comments on the YouTube channel, emails we're getting, and other things we've seen from people who watch the podcast or listen to the podcast. That has made it so gratifying and made me excited to do today's episode. Jen and I have been talking about this. The other thing is the YouTube channel has been growing, like I said, 100 subscribers in the last week, which is amazing. The comments you guys are leaving, the fact that this channel, while it's small and, we know we're going places, we're going to 100,000. If you want to hear some of the strategies behind that, that was in the last episode. That's exciting. But seeing that even though these numbers are small, to get like a 1 of 6, because we only have 6 videos out right now. Today's is a 1 of 6.
It was today.
Right? It's a 1 of 6 with like 30 views after 3 hours. I'm excited to see that. And in your instance, in your situation, it's the same thing. Your more maybe your video about the politics in that area won't do as well, but it might be that someone who watches that video is super connected with that and really is thankful about that. And then maybe they'll watch something about maybe a parade going on in that area or whatever it is. And they might go, oh, this is great too. Or maybe they won't watch it. They're just waiting for the next political video or whatever the case may be. And that's going to be the case across all of your content. So in that case, I feel like you have to understand that your maximum audience is the people in that peninsula. It's not necessarily anyone anywhere else in the world, because you're very focused on that. Your maximum audience is that group of people, unless you do something interesting with that content that would be interesting to people outside of that peninsula. And when you're very super kind of laser focused on certain things, it might not be of interest to those other people. And to be okay with that, be totally okay with that. If you're servicing the people of that peninsula, awesome. If you want something that does like better views and stuff, then create another channel and do some other stuff. But if you're servicing that community with your channel, like, hats off. Seriously.
Yes.
Oh,
well said.
Oh, listen, sometimes I get it right.
You did it. You nailed it.
Sometimes I get it right.
The expectations is it. That's 100%. Like when you can be okay with that. But yeah, it's a whole different headspace.
Yeah, it really is. It's hard to wrap your head around sometimes.
It's hard to wrap your head around the fact that you could put so much time and effort into something and like have expectations that it's going to do bad, or you can label it as bad.
You see me is what's happening here. You see me. Okay. Mario has an email. Hi, Travis and Jen. I listen to the podcast every week and glad to see you now offer the pod on video. Look at that.
Oh,
it's a good idea after all. It's fantastic.
Right? I'm surprised how many people like the video component.
I'm not, because they get to look at you. They don't need to look at me. They're like, listen, let me put Travis, let me not look at him. Jen's very nice to look at.
Travis that was hurtful to yourself.
No, I'm fine. It's good. I'm all right with that. I'm cool with that.
But now you have matchy headphones and mic, so
well, that part
you're
is
looking cuter than I am.
Well, right now, until you get the pink headphones on next week, and then I look silly. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna actually you need to get those right now.
Actually, maybe.
You probably should. That'd be pretty dope. Okay. Question. I've seen several okay. Literally, this is the question I kind of answered earlier, but let's just go back. I've seen several creator educators recommend you don't use Stinger at the beginning of your videos, but this podcast uses the same robotic voice. It's not a robotic voice, by the way. That's a lady.
That's Travis.
That's not it. No. He's talking about stop. You're talking about this.
Welcome to Tube Talk.
Yeah,
that's what it's on.
That's you.
Oh, yes, that's true. That was me. It was me putting on a voice. For every episode podcast, and now it's on videos. Why do you leave in videos knowing viewers are likely to skip over it? I've deliberately avoided a repetitive intro of my content because I've always heard it's not best to use. Enjoy the rest of your video making day, which is the comment at the end. So, Mario, we kind of answered this before, but again, it's mainly because this is an audio podcast first, and instead of just editing that part out, which, by the way, immediately, if you notice in the thing, I'm actually saying hello as the music's still going. It would be very hard to edit that in a way that ignored that, and I'm just okay with it. Again, when you look at this video come up on your feed, it's a 40-something minute long video. If you're not okay with the first 7 seconds of that, you're probably not okay with 41 minutes anyway, so you're probably not going to watch it. I know that the people that are currently watching this are, at least right now, hardcore listeners. Hopefully, as YouTube finds out more about our videos, which I'm actually going to talk about some of the things that happened this week on the channel, we'll see that dip or whatever. But I'm not worried about that right now. I'm really about trying to give a equal experience to different people. I'm trying to meet people where they are. If you like to watch podcasts or video stuff on YouTube, I'm trying to be there. If you're just an audio listener, I want to be there. But I don't want to give you one person a much better experience than the other. I want it to be the same, other than the video being there. And you get to watch Jen.
I think we should change that to a song so that we can dance.
Yeah, so there is the possibility of us changing it. And if you guys and gals have ideas and thoughts, you can certainly send us an email at theboost@vidIQ.com. Maybe some of you are voice actors or whatever, and you maybe even want to do it. And if you do, we'll give you a shout out. Sure, why not?
Oh my gosh, how fun.
Now, there is an option. I talked about this a couple weeks ago that in the audio show notes, there's a link you can click and you can send us a text message. And we have two of those. First one is from a person in Arkansas. It says, hey, I just checked out one of your podcasts for the very first time. You guys are super awesome, have lots of insight, and have motivated me to go deeper and learn more and get better at making content for my channel. I'm interested in your coaching program. How do I get set up with that? That's awesome.
Wait, this almost sounds fake. I love this so much.
Well, wait a minute. We're going to talk about fake in a minute because the next one I was positive was fake. I'll tell you what happened there. But no, I believe this to be an actual person. They're from Arkansas. It doesn't tell me their name. But I can answer your question if you go to vidIQ.com/coaching. And I think even some of our podcasts have a link. But if you just go to vidIQ.com/coaching, you can learn more about it. Yes, Jen is a one-on-one coach. We cannot guarantee that you will get her. But if you do, let her know that, hey, I listened to the podcast and this is why I'm here.
So cool.
Okay. This last message from the text messages freaked me out. So much so that I accused one of my coworkers of being the text message person. Some of you will remember who watched the last episode that Jen and I talked about, and let's go back for people who didn't hear it, that in growing this particular YouTube channel, the podcast channel, which also has edited content. So by the way, for people listening on audio podcasts, I think it's just the videos of this. That's not true. There are produced videos on this YouTube channel as well. It's not just the audio podcast and video. There are other videos that Jen and I have done together. We said that on that last show, there's a channel that's like our inspiration channel. And, it's a good thing to have an inspiration channel to kind of go after a channel that's proven itself. And I just threw out there randomly because I didn't think, A, anyone was ever going to actually do this, or B, anyone would get it right. I said, look, if you can figure out who our inspo channel is, we'll give you like a prize or something, right? I got something in my eye. And I gave these hints. I think I only said like these three things. I said that they have like 200-something thousand subscribers. They get about 3 million views. And we just like the formats they're doing. I think that's all I said. Did I say anything more than that?
I don't even remember you saying that much, to be honest. I remember you gave the views per month.
Yeah, 3 million views. So I said, if you guys can figure out who it is, we'll give you like a free month of Boost or something. We'll do something, right? But I honestly was like, no one's ever going to guess it based on that. So why do I care? And I crap you not. Earlier today, someone sent a text message from Cleveland, Ohio. Now, there is one of the people who works here lives in Ohio. So I was positive it was them. I know they used to listen to Tube Talk. And I said, look, did you send this text message in trying to win? Like, what are you doing? He goes, no, I'm not. I don't even live in Cleveland. And I go, you don't? And he goes, no. And I go, how? So let me read you this text message. This is all it says. Is the channel Think Media Podcast? My name is Dorian, and my channel is SEM Comics. Dorian, you are 100% right. I am
Dorian.
What?
Dorian.
Blown away.
We're speechless.
You gotta see the video of this because literally Jen's there with her mouth open. Like, oh?
We're speechless. This is
no idea how you
nutty.
did that. So
they're on their podcast game. That's how they're doing it.
Listen, I'm gonna keep my word. So here's what we're gonna do. Because I don't know what your account is or anything. I know you said your YouTube channel, but I don't think I can find it that way. Why don't you send us an email at theboost@vidIQ.com. Give us the email address you use with your vidIQ account. If for some reason you don't have a vidIQ account, sign up for a free account. We're going to get you set up with Boost for longer than a month. I think it's like a month. But the fact that you got it without, because my idea, Jen, was I was going to give more clues every week. But he got it.
You had a long game for this.
Yeah, because nobody was going to figure it out. So because he nailed it so fast, I'm actually going to give him like probably a year or something of Boost. And I think what I'm going to do is, because I have access to this, I think I'm going to get their channel audited on the live stream, on the vidIQ live stream. Because I'm so blown away by that. So,
wow.
Hey.
Wow, is this the first ever planned audit on the live?
It's very few that ever have happened. It's a handful over the course of years that's ever happened. I already talked to Rob Wilson about it, and he was like, all right. Because I'm on there, so yeah, I think we're going to audit your channel on the vidIQ live stream next Tuesday, so that, depending on when you're hearing this, the date of that, as long as I don't forget, I don't think I will, the 30th of July, 2024, be on the lookout. I'm there for the second hour, so it'll probably be when I go on there in the second hour of the vidIQ live stream on the vidIQ.com live stream channel. That's the one with 2 million subscribers. It's not the Boost. It's the other channel. Because I'm amazed by that. So hats off. Just send me an email, theboost@vidIQ.com. Send me, what email address you use for your account. And anyone who's fake, who's trying to get their account, I'm going to know because I'm only going to give it to the channel with this. Everyone was like, oh, I wonder if I can trick Travis. Nah, you can't do it.
No, nobody can trick Travis.
I already know it's SEM Comics. So if the account isn't connected to SEM Comics, you're not getting free Boost and you're not getting audited. But Dorian, wow, hats off.
Wow.
I was so excited when I read that. I'm like, we have to get on the podcast today. We have to record it today because I need to talk about this.
Now what are we going to do for an ongoing giveaway? That's a real, like...
Let's talk a little bit about Think Media Podcast and explain why that's our North Star because we didn't really talk about it.
Well, no, because it was a guess. It
right,
was a secret.
exactly. Because we don't want to say anything. So Sean Cannell, who most people know, who has been around for a long time and is super successful. We work with at vidIQ quite very often. I've interviewed him on different videos and stuff. He's a great guy. They have it's not just Think Media. They have a Think Media podcast channel, which I wasn't even aware of until very recently. But in looking at their channel, they are definitely doing content creation in the way that Jen and I want to do it. They're diving deeper into things. They're talking to creators who really want to take this seriously and aren't just looking for the sub for sub or just the little. We want content creators that are in this, that are obsessed over it. The way you've always described it to me is when you were starting out, you would just listen to stuff because you were obsessed about listening about YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. Just so sucked into that world. Couldn't get enough of it. If you were talking about YouTube, I'm there.
So that's who we're trying to talk to. And if you look at their channel, it's like all these things. And they do all the different formats. They have a podcast, edited content like we do, YouTube Shorts, which we'll be doing. They do live streams, which we will be doing eventually. So, yeah, I mean, that's the channel we kind of... We're not doing the same content they're doing, but it's the channel that inspired kind of like the way we want to do this channel. We already kind of knew what we wanted to do, but we wanted to find a channel that had done it.
And then we saw it, and we're like, whoa, it exists.
Hooray for us.
Yeah. Sometimes you think you have crazy ideas, and then you see that it aligns. It happens. It works. And you're like, confidence boost right there.
So exciting. And I don't know how. So maybe Dorian listens to the Think Media podcast. He's like, oh, I wonder if they're just talking. Because that's. I don't know. I'm still blown away by that.
I don't know. Maybe that's the only other one out there.
I mean, that's always possible, right? I just assume there's more. I'm
like, what if we're testing people and there's one answer?
Well, then he gets the circle, and we look at everyone else going, why didn't you guys figure this out? There's only one other one. Like, what's wrong with you?
One other one.
We literally bro, if you're listening to Tube Talk and you can't figure this out with one answer, then, yeah.
Oh, that's
problems.
good. That's good stuff.
All right. So the main topic of today was going to be, and we'll talk about it now, is it too late to start YouTube? Now, the funny thing is, I think that's probably going to be the title of this podcast, but people are going to have to go through 30-something minutes of other stuff before we get to it. So
that's
I might
no.
I know, right? But it's an audio podcast, so it is what it is. So audio podcast is fine. I think they're going to be okay with it. The video, I don't know. This might be a bad idea. Is what it is. We're free-flowing. We got edited content for the other stuff. All right.
People are watching the video to just hang.
Right. It's a vibe.
We're a vibe.
And by the way, we're starting to get commenters that are saying first. Remember we talked about that. We're like, we don't even have people coming in and say first. We got two now. We've had two people. Two.
Oh,
I think it's the same person.
One.
But they said, yeah, they
well,
said
they better
first.
keep up their streak. There's expectations being set right now.
Right? Yeah, for those who missed it, we talked about how because we were still so new. Oh, actually, yeah, before we go we should talk a little bit about the channel. So this past week, we saw a bunch of impressions and stuff come in, mainly from the channel. If you break down the actual analytics, what happens is it's from the channel itself. So in other words, when we told people to go to the Boost channel, people would click the link and they would go to the Boost. YouTube can tell that once you're on that page, if you click the video, that's where it came from. So that's where most of our views came from. But here's the good news. For those of you who did that, you actually gave YouTube a little bit of information about the type of people that might be interested in this channel. And what that does is over time, YouTube will then start to share that information, those videos with those people. And we saw that happen this week. So what was interesting is over the course of the last couple of days, so we let the video podcast go out. on Monday. Today is Thursday that we're recording this. And it got good impressions and views over the course of days. Most of you from the audio podcast came over, but then we saw some browse, which means people who don't necessarily were aware that we were around. Today's video is, by the way, technically a re-upload of something that was on the original channel, but we've removed it from the original channel. We're putting it over here. And you'll see that from us every once in a while. About the 10 of 10, feeling bad about having a 10 of 10 video, right? And I showed Jen this before we started recording this. Something very interesting happened. Now, again, we got to remember, we're a 100 subscriber channel. I think total across the channel, we have 400 views. So not a lot of data for YouTube to figure out. But within a couple of hours, the amount of impressions that video got, it got almost as many in 2 hours as the video from Monday got in 3 days. So YouTube is now starting to test against people. It's got enough information that it's starting to dip its toe for us, which is super exciting. Now, for those of you who don't know what that means, let's try to break it down a little bit. We want, obviously, in order to grow, your content has to be seen by people who don't know who you are, which right now is everybody, Jen. No one knows who we are.
No.
Terrible. I feel bad about this.
We pop up and they're like, oh, who's that?
Huh? Who that is?
How'd this get on my page?
Who that is?
Mm-hmm.
And but now that YouTube has enough information that I think it's starting to show it to some people. You know, Jen and I had a conversation. We're not sure if it's the right people because the click-through rate went way down.
One of us was not happy.
Yeah. The other one was all right with it, very optimistic and like, yeah, this is great. The other one was like, I don't understand what's going on. Why
is that click-through rate so low? Spoiler, it was me.
It's literally how you sounded too. It's really
Travis is like, it's awesome. I'm like, go back to the click-through rate.
Right? Like, what is this? It's terrible. I'm like, no, it's good. YouTube's trying. So when I see that stuff, I get excited because it means it's the first time that YouTube's actually, because there's a time when you're really small and YouTube doesn't even know to share. It doesn't even know who to shoot it out to. It's just like, here's your 4 impressions for the day. Thank you, sir. May I have another? And that's
Thank
about
you.
it.
Join again. See you next Monday.
Exactly. Just try another video. Maybe we'll do it again then. But today, this thing got like 1,000 impressions in like an hour, which is
nutty.
Crazy for a small channel. Crazy.
Nutty. Absolutely crazy. I think it's also interesting to talk. Actually, first of all, all of you listeners need to let us know if you're even interested in us talking about our strategy, because we were thinking of a new concept of, really recording and breaking down some of the strategy meetings that we have together. But I will say one thing that I think is interesting that we're intentionally doing is kind of the opposite that we would normally do for the thumbnails. And that is, we're not, I would say most of the time, going with faceless thumbnails. Typically faceless thumbnails, you have a better shot at getting new viewers because, if someone doesn't know who you are, they're probably not going to click on it. They might not. It's not really important. It's not really holding any weight. But in this case, I don't know how did we even come to this?
Well, so we were very specifically not using our faces on the main channel because we knew that the audience that vidIQ had did not know us and may just, they're looking for Rob Wilson or maybe Dan, right? Not really looking for us. So I specifically was like, let's just do faces channels there. Here on our channel, we can do whatever heck we want. So I'm starting to put faces on everything. Jen's face on today's video, both our faces on the podcast video. You're going to see a lot of our faces. Currently, we still have a couple of faceless thumbnails. We're kind of trying to figure out how to put our faces on, but yeah.
It's interesting because I looked at, when we were looking at it lined up in studio, there was just this moment when I said to Travis, and I was like, Travis, it's giving AI to me. Like, it's
AI
just, yeah. And I was like, that's not good. We can't be a small channel that's coming across as AI. People aren't going to click on that with the right expectations. And now we're kind of just winging the advice, going full faces on the thumbnail right from the beginning and, going with the flow. This is why you got to have fresh eyes looking into your channel, helping you make these decisions.
I agree. And, you know, the cool thing about this is it's not just one or the other of us making this channel and the podcast go the way it is. We have discussions. We don't always even agree, which I love. The thing is, if you have someone who's a yes person all the time, I mean, it might work because maybe you're a brilliant genius and everything always works.
Congrats.
But I love that. I'm not, by the way. I have Jen that can push against me and go, I actually think this is the thing. And the reason why this works is because I already trust Jen's judgment. I have a lot of respect for her judgment in this, and you know, the YouTube growth game, so to speak. So I know that sometimes maybe my thought process is wrong. A lot of times I think it's right. However, sometimes you can get in your own head and think, oh, this is just going to work because it is, because I know what I'm doing. And someone from the outside can go, wait a minute, are you sure about that? And then you start thinking, I'm not so sure about that after all. I thought maybe I was right, but maybe I'm not. So, you know, the way this channel and the podcast are going to change over time is this constant back and forth that we both want the same end goal, right? Both want the same thing. How we get there is going to be slightly different, but together I think we're like the superpower of cool stuff going on. Plus, feedback from the audience. Y'all are talking to us, telling us what you like and what you don't like. That's going to be super helpful. So I think what Jen is implying here is, do you guys want to see even more behind the scenes stuff? One of the things that once we get a good audience going, I think we're going to live stream the recording of these podcasts, which will be even interesting. So those of you who want to watch us do this live and then interact with us before and after the podcast, we'll have that opportunity. We'll probably do that in like, 7-8 months or something from now. So we're constantly going to try everything. We're going to try everything, but
That's a huge takeaway.
Yeah.
Be willing to try everything. It's okay if it fails. It could do great.
We're definitely going to have some failures along the way. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Today's click-through rate.
But the views is 1 of 6 though. It's still a 1 of 6 though. I'm just saying. It's still a 1 of 6. That's the way I look at it. It's a 1 of 6.
No, this is so amazing. It's so fun to be tracking these huge milestones, even though like the numbers are smaller. They're huge milestones. This is the best part. I don't care. I will stand behind it. This is the best part of being on YouTube. That 0 to 1,000.
Yeah, look, we didn't have 1,000 subscribers in a week, but we hit 100 in about a week. And that to me is huge. Love that. Love that. Love that. We have lots more stuff to come. But believe it or not, we actually are at the end of our time. Interestingly, we did not even, and I told her this might happen, we didn't even get to the subject we were really going to talk about because we had so many great questions. And I think we both agree on that. Tell me if I'm wrong, Jen. I think we would love to be inundated with questions. So feel free to email us at theboost@vidIQ.com. If you're on the audio podcast, there's a link to send us a text message. Or, again, if you're on the YouTube channel, email us. Don't send the question in the comments because we just won't be able to get around to it. At some point, there's going to be too many comments. We just won't be able to do it. So just email us. We'll be happy to answer them. I think that's about it. If you didn't see the last episode, definitely go back and watch it. And if you're new to the channel, we actually have some other content that might be super dope. So with that being said, say bye, Jen.
Bye, Jen.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Tube Talk, brought to you by vidIQ. Head over to vidIQ.com/Tube Talk for today's show notes and previous episodes. Enjoy the rest of your video making day.